Jack Welch says, if you don't have a competitive advantage in business, then you shouldn't compete, right? And so a lot of us selling real estate don't have a real competitive advantage, what makes you different. So if you want to be able to survive in real estate, you have to be able to articulate that value in a way that people see you're different.
What most real estate agents are doing wrong is not having the right person to lead them, and it's not their fault. Unfortunately, I think it's really easy to get into this industry, to get a real estate license, but nobody's teaching you how to become successful. Getting a real estate license is the easy thing, and unfortunately, the companies, and not to bash any brands, but pretty much every company is a recruiting company. They're not a help an agent become successful. Take one agent and help them become productive in the industry. That's not the focus. The focus and the metrics, if you will, around a team leader, for instance, at a brokerage is going to be around recruiting and not retention. So unfortunately, you're getting into a business where you're kind of left to figure it out for yourself in a lot of ways. And so I think that's the real problem, more so than what are the agents doing wrong, and if they're not getting mentorship or they're not trying to grow, if they don't have a growth mindset, meaning they're looking for how to become successful and investing in themselves and going to events and trying to learn and reading and watching videos on YouTube, trying to grow and get better. If you're not trying to figure that out, then you're definitely going to fail. Like that's just a given in this industry.
So let's take you back to the first couple of years of you being a real estate agent.
Yeah.
And what was that like as you were trying to figure out how to be successful?
Oh, yeah.
What did you learn? What would you do differently? And
Right.
I know I'm asking you a bunch of questions.
Yeah, no, it's
but
good.
Just think like the frame of mind. I want
Yeah.
you to go back to the beginning of
So I was 19. So I didn't know what I didn't know. And I saw a little bit of success from agents in the office. My dad had just bought a Coldwell Banker franchise, and so there was this board that had the top agents, and the top agents on the board, and I knew them because I mowed yards for my dad in the summertime and stuff. So I knew a lot of these agents, but there were some that were making some decent money, and so I knew there could be success, but I had no idea how I was going to find a client, right? Like that was the hardest part. So fortunately, my dad was willing to, kind of nudge me in the direction of, hey, there's an event coming to town. You should go to it, and things like that. So I early on in my career, I invested a little bit of time and a little bit of money to go to an event. The first one I can think of that I went to was Roger Butcher, which is a guy that was in the industry a long time ago, and he taught little systems and things about how to get for sale by owners and how to get expireds and things of that nature. And that was for me. I didn't even know that stuff existed, right? Like, oh, these people are putting a sign in the yard, they want to sell their house, they didn't hire an agent, but why wouldn't you call them? I'm like, I don't know, it's a great question. Why wouldn't I call them? And here's what you would say. And so I started learning that there was ways to get clients of people that didn't already know who you were. And the people that knew me at the time were still doing keg stands in college. So I didn't have a sphere of influence. And a lot of people I think that get in the business, do have a sphere of influence. So I didn't have anything to do but try to figure out how to get a customer through other ways of doing that. And so I was, I guess, lucky in that sense. I sat the traditional floor time and felt like, what a waste of time. Every once in a while you get a phone call or whatever, but I wasn't feeling like there was much control over it. So I was very interested in trying to find a better way. Like that was my entire career has been, there's got to be a better way than doing it this way. And so it was tough. The first year I think I sold 22 houses. Didn't make a whole lot of money. I think I actually probably lost money if you look at what I'd spent in trying to figure it out. But yeah, that was I, like most people, even though my dad was in the business, there was no solution for me to go get customers. That was something I had to learn through continuous learning and seeking out from other places.
So how did you build that database?
It's a good question. So database didn't really exist, 22 years ago. I didn't have a technology piece. I think I was using Top Producer or something that they had at some point. So it was, I remember, the first lead generation tool that came out that was really pretty interesting, and it was called VIP SOAR eMLS. It was actually something that connected to the MLS and allowed you to send properties to a potential buyer, and that didn't exist, right? So it does today. All our MLSs have it, and then there's technology that's everything, and everything is available, and that's almost common for agents to be able to generate a lead. Is not a difficult thing to do as an agent, but back then it was new. So I think being on the cutting edge, it allowed me to lead generate better than a lot of agents were doing. So I was able to generate a lot of leads, and from that, it was just a game of learning the skills of what to say to get face-to-face with the client. That became the biggest hurdle to my success, was knowing what to say to get face-to-face.
Okay, and what was it that you said to get face to face?
Oh, so it evolved over time. It's evolved to today. If I was going to be on the phone and talk to a prospect, the first thing that I would say is if they don't know, like, and trust you, and they're not seeking out you for the value that you bring to the table, then you have to have a value proposition for why they should do business with you. Right? And so if I was talking to a buyer, say we have a proven, repeatable system backed by market research to help you save thousands to tens of thousands across the home buying experience. Would you like for me to show you how we do that? That's a way better offer to a buyer than, hey, would you like to go see that property? Right? So, and again, there's not a lot of people teaching value proposition and how to articulate that value. And on the seller side, it would be similar. We have a proven, repeatable system backed by market research to sell your home for up to 18% more than the methods of traditional real estate agents. Would you like for me to show you how we do that? Getting those yeses were so important. If you're going to be on the phone, it's self-defeating if you're on the phone and you're getting all no's, right? Like, so, you can get 10 leads, and if you talk to all 10 of them, you're doing really good in real estate, because most people don't get a hold of all 10 people. But if you talk to 10 people, you might get 1 or 2 appointments, or maybe you only get 1 appointment. But if I can get that to 3, the opportunity really starts to expand, and you don't need more leads. You really probably need more skills and as far as being successful in real estate. That's the most important foundational thing, that if I can teach you what to say, how to say it, and position you as an expert, is a reason why someone should do business with you. And then you need to be able to demonstrate that and deliver on that ultimately. But then you're going to have enough at-bats that you're going to find success faster than you will by just winging it, so to speak.
Trust-based marketing. It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It's the one that's the most adaptable to change. And I love this little image, because what I see when we're coming with chainsaws, right? Like, this is a solution that's far more advanced than what other people are doing that are just trying to do it the old way. So we're going to do it a much more innovative way. So as we see, and we talked about this morning, there are a lot of people trying to disrupt the real estate industry. They're trying to replace the real estate agent. They're trying to minimize the value that we bring to the transaction. And unfortunately, it hasn't worked, right? Like, there's still a million real estate agents. We're not being disrupted. There are disruptive innovations that are making us have to adapt to things that are going on.
I think my willingness to fail was I don't know what, I get this question a lot. Why were you so driven to succeed? And I don't really know. My basketball or my football team was 0-10 in high school. So like I had plenty of losing. Okay, maybe I was just over it and I hated losing. And I did have a chip on my shoulder and I hated to lose. So there was a bit of that drove me to want to become successful, I think. But I was just willing to call anybody. It didn't impact me if they said no. In fact, it was kind of. I remember there was a guy, I can't remember his name, but somebody that I bought their CDs, books, tapes, whatever it was at the time, and they talked about making a game out of it, making it fun. And so when people would hang up on me, I would just laugh. It'd be fun to call them back, right? And just what is the worst? If that's the worst thing that happens to you today, somebody hangs up on you, it's not it's not the end of the world here, right? So it just became a game to me, and I genuinely felt like I could help people, right? And I knew that if I talked to you and you had a goal of trying to get your home sold. And I think I would probably say for sure the pivotal point in my business was when I focused on listings. Because listings have babies. Like, you get a listing, you get another listing maybe because that person that needs to buy that house has a home to sell. Or you sell, somebody calls, they see your sign, hey, you sold that house, was on the market with another agent for 6 months, I need to sell my house, can you come take a look at it? Those things don't happen just from doing buyer transactions. And buyer deals were easier, but you're driving all over town, showing every property. And I think the good part of that was that I learned the marketplace. I've been in every house. After a while you're showing every house, you've been in every house that's on the market. So there's some knowledge that you gain about the marketplace by working buyers, but really where things started to double and then double and then double was when I shifted my focus to listings. The buy side took care of itself. You get a listing, you're going to get a buyer that's going to call on that property through your marketing efforts. That's going to happen through doing open house, whatever it is. But when I focused on listings, things really started to expand for me.
And this is the thing that I run into. Real estate's such a great business because there's so many things you guys could be focused on, right? You get priority confusion. There's so many things coming at you, all these different things that you could go try to do. How do you decide what you're going to say yes to, what you're going to say no to? So that's the biggest problem I think most of us face is there's too many ways for you to grow your business, and there's not enough clarity on what is the right question that you should be asking. And I believe that we are asking the wrong question. It's not, how do I make a sale today? How do I go run another ad to get another lead today? That's the wrong question. I think the question, a better question should be asked, how can I set up a system of attraction that brings a steady, reliable stream of ideal potential clients to me, asking for my advice or assistance as the trusted authority on real estate, or even better, who are predetermined to be my clients if accepted. How about that? I like the last part, if accepted, as if I might not take you as a client. Like when your business shifts to this, it is life-changing, right? It's different. It's not the same as you're hoping, you're begging, and you're trying to find people that might just like you enough to buy a house from you or list their house with you. You're actually attracting people to you by the marketing and the positioning that you have in the marketplace to a subset of the market, whatever subset of the market we choose.
You know, the first skill, and I believe it is a skill, is your mindset. Having the right mindset is foundational to any success, and especially in a business where there is going to be a lot of rejection. So you have to have condition yourself with the right mindset. Surround yourself with people that lift you up and that help you raise your standards. Those are all really, and it's an important foundation to have. And having accountability from someone is ultimately the best way. Not relying on your own discipline to become successful, but having someone else to hold you accountable is a shortcut to success. And that's why I believe coaching is one of the most valuable things that you can invest in once you start to commit to some goals of being successful in real estate.
If you had to convince a buyer to pay your commission up front rather than as a portion of the sales proceeds, do you think you could articulate your value in a way to get them to pay you up front? Anybody? Right? So imagine that that's the world we live in. That could happen. If we lose that lawsuit, then that is the wave of change that will be coming. You will have to negotiate your fee with the buyer, and the buyer would have to pay you that fee instead of being paid out of the proceeds of the sale. That's a big deal, right? So luckily, since 2012, we've been saying you better learn to differentiate yourself in case something does disrupt the industry or make a massive change, where that you feel that you could articulate your value and get someone to say, man, how much is that going to cost me? Not, will you do it for less, right? People see the value in such a way that they're willing and happily pay your fee, right? So, and I know that that's what we all strive to want to do. We want people to see that value, but we always struggle with it, right? And so it's important to be able to articulate that value.
And the second thing is articulating a value proposition. There's a million real estate agents out there. Why should somebody do business with you above anybody else? So that's the most valuable thing you can learn, because if you can't articulate why someone should do business with you, then you're very rarely going to ever set an appointment with somebody.
Yeah, give me an example of that.
So the proven repeatable system backed by market research to sell your home for up to 18% more than the methods of traditional real estate agents. I can say that to 10 people, and I'm going to get, I don't know what someone else might be saying, but I'm going to get an appointment the highest percentage of the time possible with a value proposition that is articulated in a way that I have a system, it's proven and repeatable, backed by market research, to sell homes for up to 18% more than the methods of traditional real estate. It's really hard as a seller to say, nah, don't want to know about that. That's fine, I got an agent already. It's going to get you in the door a large percentage of the time. So getting the marbles out of your mouth is part of that, right? Then you got to be able to demonstrate, because you get face to face, now you got to be able to demonstrate that and show them that you have a system, right? What is that system? Here's what we're going to do to sell your home for the most amount of money, and then that's the skill set that matters next the most, right? So being able to articulate your value, being able to demonstrate your value proposition, show someone how you're going to help them get from here to here, and once you have those skills, it's a matter of understanding how to acquire a customer through marketing. So a lot of agents focus on referrals. Great, I love referrals. I'd rather have all my business come from referral. But we talk about, well, what's a sustainable business? Tell me how many referrals you're going to get next month. You can't tell me because you don't know, right? So there's got to be an element of your business of understanding how to acquire a customer through marketing. And this is a great business. Like, think about, here in Dallas, for instance, the Frisco for sure, the average sale price over $400,000. You're talking about a $12,000 commission. Like, you could probably acquire a customer for less than $1,000 in marketing and make a $12,000 commission. And you don't have a high cost of sales, right? I mean, our time and effort is invested, but usually not a lot of money. Maybe if you stage it or if you invest in that kind of stuff up front, you might have some cost. But for the most part, you can spend $1,000 and keep $11,000. So that's a very important skill set to learn. right? Is how to acquire a customer through marketing. But at the foundation of everything is, what is your competitive advantage? Why should somebody do business with you above doing business with somebody else? And how do you articulate that in a way that it makes sense to somebody so that you can get face to face with an interested person? If I can find somebody who's interested in selling and articulate my value and then get face to face, I'm going to have a very high percentage chance of getting that listing.
When you're thinking about your market and marketing starts to get too big, like, oh man, who am I going to market to, right? Am I going to market to this neighborhood? It could also be niches. There's all, and find something that you love. Andrew loves the lake. I love the lake. If I was going to sell properties, I'd love to sell properties on the lake, right? If you love golf, then pick out, homes on golf courses. Pick that niche. But if there's something that you're passionate about and you want to build a business around it, it's going to make more sense for you to align yourself to whatever that is that you, whatever it is that you enjoy, right? This is your business. You can design it however you want.
As far as marketing tools, I mean, I'm a big fan of Facebook. Today, how I grew my business is, there's things that I would do, but really, and understanding marketing is really simple. It's mind share. Okay, the person is going to choose you based upon who they think of first. Like if they don't have a family member in the business, and even if they do have a family member in the business, if the first person they think of is you, whether it's, let's say it's a row of houses, that the house that you live on, the house where you live, 10 houses either side of the street in your neighborhood, those 10 people should probably think of you first when the subject of real estate comes up. Either they know you and know you well enough to think of you first, or you haven't been, talking to your neighbors enough, right? And so for the most part, that's kind of the extension of what most people do, agents do. And if you wanted to extend that further to, say, a neighborhood or to an entire city, then it's just about how much exposure you have, and the frequency of that exposure, that's going to determine whether that person is going to think of you first, think of you second, or think of you not at all. And it's a two-horse race. You want to be number one or number two. So, and historically, I would have to mail, or I would have to do billboards or radio, and whatever segment of whatever audience that was. Some of them might be moving in a year. Most of them wouldn't be. On Facebook, it's completely the wild, wild west. And agents still haven't learned this yet. You can have somebody click on, hey, selling your home in 2020. If they click on that, now I can show them any number of ads that I want to show them, testimonials, value proposition, hype videos, whatever you want to show them to demonstrate your expertise as many times as you want over any period of time for pennies. Whereas in the past, I would have had to mail the entire neighborhood to find that one person, and then I would have to continuously follow up with that person and try to send them more marketing messages in more different ways. It's done automated, it's done cheaper, it's done faster, it's done more specific, and it's done through video, which has more influence. There's just a lot faster way to build trust with somebody now through Facebook, and that just wasn't available to us in the past. So that's my favorite tool, hands down. Facebook is where I would be spending the majority of my money. I wouldn't abandon all the things. I think there's always opportunity when people start to move away from something. It creates a gap and an opportunity. So I think that there's all kinds of print publications and things of that nature that you could still leverage and use as having another angle and another touch. People are seeing you everywhere, omnipresence. I see you. I get your postcards. I'm seeing you on Facebook all the time. I'm seeing you everywhere I go. I see your signs when I leave my neighborhood. Those are the types of things that creates that. Okay, when I call someone, I think real estate, I'm gonna Google you, is what they do. This is like you asked the question about like where did my business really take off. I'll never forget when my effort focused on listings. That was the first shift. When I first started spending money in marketing, I started investing a lot more money into marketing and really branding and positioning myself as the go-to person in the marketplace. It was when the first day I'd gone on a couple of appointments and I came back and my receptionist had taken down 2 messages of people that had seen our marketing it was in the newspaper probably, or a billboard at the time, and they wanted me to list their house. And I realized at that point that my business had just shifted from me being chasing all the business to me now attracting all the business. That was the best day of my real estate career, because at that point it didn't mean I was going to stop doing the things that were working to build my business, but I knew that I had now made it to a point where now people are coming to me instead of me having to only rely on my efforts to acquire the business. That was the biggest aha moment for me, was that you can spend money in marketing, and once you learn marketing, you can acquire a customer through marketing, and that was where it took off for me.
Know that you can manufacture trust in a lot of different ways. just that one little thing of having boats in the video made a difference in people looking at us different and listening to us closer because they instantly trusted us because we were what? Like them, right? So credibility, factual basis for trust. Longevity, years in the business or years in the community. If you've been in your community for 30 years, that is a reason for people to trust you. You want to leverage that in your marketing.
You want to look for where is the low-hanging fruit in this industry. Okay, so there's a good argument that I can make for you need to first have a good value proposition to know what to say to a seller for why they would be with you, because the easy one is FSBOs and expires on the seller side. That's a little bit high on the rejection side, so a lot of people are going to shy away from that. I will tell you the most successful people I've ever met all did that. All the people that I've ever coached, all the agents that I've ever helped get to number one in their marketplace, 100%, not 99, not 98, 100% of them at some point prospected FSBOs and expired. So, maybe that's not the first place you go, but it is people that wanted to sell their house. And it's an opportunity to gain that leverage of having your sign on somebody's yard and potentially getting buyers from that and doing open houses and all this other stuff. And so if you're brand new and you're like, not ready for that, then I would say, where is the next highest source of action-taking people that looks like they're further along in the process of maybe wanting to do something, buying a home, for instance. I would say people that are actively going around and looking at open houses. If you can master, you can have an open house with 4 signs and get 4 people to show up, or you can put up 100 signs and get 100 people to show up. So I would master the open house event and get as many people and have as many conversations about real estate as I possibly could as quickly as I had. If that means I have to do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday open houses, that might be what I would do in order to have success. If I was dead set on being successful and I could not fail, then that's probably, and I would, one of the agents in my company, hold one of their houses open. I know that's what we see that all the time with new agents. Another agent, at EXP, for instance, has a listing. You post in the group, hey, I'm doing an open house. Anybody have one this weekend? The agent says, yeah, I got one. They can go do that open house and follow that process and you're just going to meet people that are at least actively searching, right? So like you can generate a lead of somebody that does a home search, but they may not be ever buying a house, right? We don't really know if that's a buyer or not, but somebody that's driving around in their car and going into houses is probably further along the process or more serious. So the more you could drive traffic to an open house that would be the lowest cost, highest return on investment of time activity that I would probably tell an agent to focus on.
If there was one thing you could tell all the thousands of agents that are going to watch this, what is that one thing you'd tell them?
Investing in yourself. This is a continuous learning business. For 22 years, I've been learning something new every day, and so find somebody that you can mentor under that you understand what they're saying, you like what they're saying, they have done what you want to accomplish, they have similar values as you, and ideally, I think what I found that was missing, and so the reason that we even built NAEA and Kid Reese coaching and even got into that side of the business was because I paid everybody, right? I paid the referral and I paid the prospecting guy, I paid the direct response marketing guy, I paid all these people that had pillars of the business, but nobody was teaching business. Nobody was teaching how to build a business. And so went outside the industry, Jay Abraham, and learned from all these guys that were in different industries, and they changed the way I thought about everything. They changed my thinking. And so it wasn't just little tactics that I was learning. Now I'm learning a whole different way of thinking about business and how to build a business. And so for me, that was a big get for me. So that's what we focus on, is we help you build a business that's sustainable as opposed to just teaching you tactics. And so that's what I would say. Find someone like us, somebody that can teach you, has a methodology, has a process, has done for you systems that they can give you, so you don't have to go figure it out. You don't have to go build your own presentations and build your own marketing. That they have something that they've done, they've had success. This is what I sent out, and this is what works. Use this, say that, do this, right? Like that's where you're going to find the most success. Is success leaves clues. People are already successful in this business. Find those people and do what they did, and you'll get similar results.
When I first got into real estate, I didn't know any better, so I made a lot of promises that I thought were valued to the client. Like, I'm going to call you every week. Anybody make this promise before? That works great until you have about 80 listings, and you can't call them every week. And here's what happens is you're doing all these things, you're working in your hustle and everything, but you didn't call them this week, so you made this promise, and now you're not keeping the promise. Right? So a brand promise is what's the promise made and then the promise kept. And anytime you have a promise made and promise kept, that now you're delivering on a brand promise. And if it truly matters, that brand promise truly matters, it makes a huge difference. And we're going to talk about this here in a little bit, with when you make a promise and then deliver on a promise that's way more valuable, you start to get referrals because of your brand promise. People start telling them, hey, you need to call Jay. He's got a system for selling your home for up to 18% more. You need to talk to him. They got a reason that they're talking to people and telling people to do business with you. And then when they refer you, it's more meaningful, right? It's not called Jay because he's a nice guy. It's because you have a value proposition.
I think there's a lot of ways to be successful. And the most important thing to understand is how valuable your time is. And I think if you were to write down as an agent, every 15 minutes what you were doing for an entire day, you would probably be really disappointed with the actual work that was actually being done, right? So it starts with starting the day off right. I co-authored a book, The Miracle Morning, with Hal Elrod, my business partner Michael Reese, and Michael Mayer. That is a great mindset book for how to start the day and start the day winning. And I think that would be the first thing that I would teach you is read that book, follow that process. Hal Elrod, it's his process, not mine. But that's where I would start, and then I would look at what are the high leverage activities, what are the things where you change the outcome, and then start getting things off of your plate that are the things that are not dollar productive. If it's $10 an hour work, you shouldn't be doing it. Someone else should be doing it. And focus on high leverage activities, things that you change the outcome in when you do them. And that's going to very often be the time you're spent on the phone, face to face, and doing activities related to marketing and acquiring customers. And even, I think and depending on where you're at as an agent, with your time, if you're doing some deals, and this is the biggest problem I find, that most agents come to us where we call it the real estate roller coaster, right? They close 3 deals this month, and then they don't have anything for next month, and they're making the sale, and then they're servicing those sales. And I saw it with my own son, who's 21, and he had 3 deals in 1 week, which was really good for him. But he did not do one thing that he had done to get those 3 deals that next 30 days because he was so busy, managing the process of the closing and all the inspections and the repairs and all the stuff, and it's all new to him. So he's doing all that work. And so, at some point though, you have to realize that work can be done by someone else, and you can hire someone to manage that process, and it doesn't have to be you. Now, he needs to learn that, go through it himself a few times, but at some point it's not going to make sense for you to service all of those sales. You build processes, you build systems, you hire people, and you get things off your plate, because if you can pay someone $10 an hour, you'll never make $1 million a year doing $10 an hour work. So high leverage activities, you got to get that stuff off your plate sooner than you're going to be comfortable doing it. And the sooner you do that, you'll go back to doing all those dollar productive activities again, which is going to drive your revenue driving activities. So that's what I would probably tell someone. It's going to be dependent upon where they're at, and focused around doing high leverage activities, putting those rocks in your calendar and your schedule, and making sure you do your best to stick to that, and don't let people take you off of your time. It's your time. It's the most valuable thing you have. And there's a reason that people are making $1 billion a year with the same amount of time in the day. They've found how to leverage their time better than we have. And so always focusing on that is one of the biggest gifts you can have. I didn't want to do it, by the way. I sucked at time management. I sucked at putting it in my calendar. But once I did, I realized that's what gave me my freedom. And once I made that shift, I was no longer reactive. I was proactive. I was working on the right things in the right order, because I was thinking through things, putting things in my calendar that I knew were important, and I wasn't allowing people to just vampire my time. And the sooner you start thinking that way about your time, the more success you're going to have, the faster.